Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Matt Rozum, Dean of the Sigmund Wise School of Business at Susquehanna University, and really excited to have Chris Hogan here today. I'm sure many of you know Chris Hogan. If you want a full bio, I would recommend going to coachhogan.com. It's your best website for
Absolutely.
Your bio?
Yes.
And that's a full bio. The full bio is there. On a personal note, I got to know Chris. I say got to know as if it was like an interpersonal relationship. But I listened many hours on the radio to you and many hours of podcast and read and listened to the book. Everyday Millionaires was actually the first one, which might be able to see somewhere above and behind us. And also Retire Inspired.
Yes,
those were the ways that I got to know. But then reached out, and Chris is here to talk to Susquehanna University students today, and I've already met some, but excited that you're here. So part of your background that really excites me to talk to you is that you've coached and consulted with professional athletes and celebrity entertainers. And part of this channel is pop culture economics.
Gotcha. Okay, yes.
And just trying to understand the finances, understand the different challenges that are faced by people who are in different situations from 99.9% of us. True. So I guess as a starting question, I know you've worked with, say, those who've been drafted in the NFL, probably in many different rounds. What are some of the different challenges they face in terms of dealing with money, professional challenges that, say, either a first round or a fourth round NFL draft pick might face?
Well, I mean, Matt, as you know, someone in the business world, if they are working hard and moving up the ranks, their business grows, which means their income grows, right?
Sure.
And so what they have is this opportunity to be able to have a frame of reference to now begin to kind of scale up or scale down. But with a lot of these athletes and these musicians, when they go from being broke to now all of a sudden being thrust into the limelight with this money, there's a ton of issues that can pop up. Not to mention dealing with family members, dealing with friends, trying to adjust and acclimate to their new professional status. And that's a lot of pressure on people all at once.
Yeah, I can imagine. So for me, I would imagine for most people, right, you start off making, somewhat of a lower income. I mean, depending what, you either go to college and then graduate and get it, or if you don't go to college, you start making somewhat of a lower income. And if you do well, you can get promoted and you start to make a little bit more money and get used to it, and you save as you go. In your later years or your big earning years, whereas how different does the mindset need to be for, say, a professional athlete, let's say drafted in the fourth round of the NFL?
Yeah.
What's the salary? Might be $800,000 a year, maybe somewhere, maybe
a little
under.
A little bit lower than that.
A little bit lower than that.
So even with that, if you think about it, them starting off with that level of income, even in the fourth round or fifth round or even practice squad, it's still way above average in income. The problem is they have above average dreams. And so now they're trying to do all of these things at once, which essentially makes it become an unsustainable model. Meaning the typical NFL career is around 3 years, right? So imagine you're going from making 400, 500, 800,000, $1 million or more, and now you're done, right? And so now you're back to what I call normal standards. And so you've got to begin to psychologically adjust and prepare for this new way of living. These people, pro athletes, entertainers still have opportunities, but the world changes.
Sure. And thrust from 0 to 800,000 for 3 or 4 years. And then back to, let's say not nothing, but let's say it's
normal.
50,000 a year, 100,000 a year.
Significant drop.
A mindset. If there's three things, like you're talking to a draft pick who's that's the salary. Let's not talk about the number one pick might be $30 million or something. But let's talk, incredibly great salary that most of us will never see. But it's only going to be a couple of years. What are 2 or 3 pieces of advice you really try to hammer home with a new sports question?
Well, first and foremost is slow down. And what I mean by that is they've been dreaming about this since they were in grade school. right? And the dream started to get a little bit more real with some more tangible things in college. And so now they've got the list of cars or homes or things they want to do, the stuff they want to do for family. So slow down. The second thing is begin to make a plan. Meaning, what are you going to be able to do? Meaning, you've got to see your income and understand it. Just 800,000, it isn't going to mean that's how much you got. You got taxes. You got a few things you got to deal with, Matt. So it's beginning to have a plan. And then the third thing is obviously, I'm going to say this: stay away from debt. Because that's the tendency is to now as they have income, now they have access to what I call stupid, which is a whole lot of debt. And so the odds are people will go down that path because it's not spending in their mind.
Yeah, and as a 22-year-old, like when you're thrust into that, if you're making this and somebody, of course, I'll make a ton of money next year.
That's right. I'll take care of it later.
I can pay it back.
And it's so important, for them to learn. And so, this is why learning about money is so important in grade school, high school, even into college. But it's the pressure on these young professionals is astronomical.
Yes. Family pressures, friend pressures.
It comes from everywhere. Pressures from the universities that they went to, because they're ready for them to give, right?
What kind of don't? What kind
business opportunities being come at in all different angles of people wanting to help them, right? And this is an interesting topic because now what was seen in the pro ranks of MLB, NBA, or NFL, now all of a sudden we're dealing with some of these things on the college side because of NIL.
And name image licensing.
Yep. And so now you've got these college athletes that are able to make, $200,000, $300,000, pretty significant money for young people. So this is going to be something that now, unfortunately, if we don't put some guidelines around it, if we don't help these young people figure out how to manage it, it could really breed some monsters.
Yeah, and one thing that I know that I've heard you say before, but it seems like it would be particularly relevant for this group, is during the many years I listened to kind of the radio and podcast, is when you get a financial advisor, you're not just hiring them to not think about it at all, right? It's still your money.
It is.
Is that tough for athletes or pop superstars?
Well, you know what? It is. It's hard for them because they want to focus on what they're good at.
Sure.
Yep. That entertainer wants to focus on movies. That artist wants to focus on music. That athlete wants to focus on their craft. Well, with this, what I tell them is, as you are building a team, because that's what you need to do, you need to build a financial team around you. You need an investment advisor, you need a tax person, you need a real estate person, you need an attorney. And I said, so here's the deal. As you build that team, it's not just handing it off to them and forgetting it. I said, I want you to think like the team owner. You're the owner of this team. You're looking to hire some coaches to help you with this specific task, taxes, investments, or whatever it is. So you are still accountable and responsible for it. And so you want to make sure these people are doing their job well.
Well, if somebody else is controlling your money, one, you don't know what's happening with it. And there's a chance for fraud, quite frankly, unfortunately. And even if there's not fraud, if they make an investment in something that wasn't fraudulent but ends up going poorly and you didn't want that, right? You're just setting yourself up for failure.
You lose. And a very well-known person, we were talking about this off air, and I won't say their name, but very prominent L.A. Movie star, Hollywood star, ended up getting taken advantage of by a business manager to the tune of about 25 to 30 million over a lifetime. And so, it's one of those things I tell people, inspect what you expect. And so that means you being able to look at this stuff every couple of weeks to make sure things are on point. If you have questions, ask those questions. But you have to keep your thumb on the pulse.
Okay, we hear the horror stories about athletes who make millions but end up broke, end up bankrupt.
Yes.
We don't hear quite as much about the stories of those who did amazing things, who saved, the news story, if it bleeds, it leads. This is kind of the opposite. What are some stories you might have of athletes?
Well, there are plenty of stories out there of people who've done things well. One NFL player, he lives off of his sponsorship and marketing money. Yeah. Never touches his salary. Another one lives off his signing bonus. And so he's not touching it. So he's preparing. And so, there are guys out there that are thinking, that are planning. It's not just a matter of in the moment, but it's a matter of having awareness of what's next. And so what I do as a coach, as I'm working with them, I'm helping them not only have a plan for now, but I'm also helping them have a plan for then. What are you looking to move to? And so I'm able to kind of coach and guide them. And so for those people that are willing to listen, it's awesome because they remain in control. And now they realize, hey, I've got a playbook again, right? Just like they did in their playing days. And so people having that playbook, it helps them feel more calm and more aware of what's going on.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I remember hearing the story, I think on a radio podcast, of sometimes some individuals are like, I'm going to save. They don't necessarily know where to save.
Right.
You found some money in. Tell a little bit, and this is, I think, relevant not just for those who are making, athletes, but for everybody, on stories of why you don't just want to have money put into a savings account.
Well, and what's crazy? One of the NFL coaches that I worked with, his whole entire retirement was parked in a savings account. Okay. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you protected principle, but you stole away from growth big time, right?
Yep.
And so that's where it becomes important to be able to have a professional to work with.
Someone
to understand, so you can understand your risk tolerance, so you can understand what it is this money could grow to. Looking at what he had parked in a savings account, I literally feel like he had missed out on $2 to $3 million over a 20-year career. Okay, so gosh. this was a massive amount of money missed out on. And again, just small tweaks would have helped.
Yeah, and you can become pretty wealthy. I think pretty wealthy. Your book's Everyday Millionaires.
Yes.
And what I love about your book, to me it's inspiring. You could have somebody who's making not huge amounts of money. You could have a school teacher.
That's right.
Who's making $50,000, $60,000 something, and they're putting away 10%. I know 15 is the recommended, but if you put away 10% and you're getting 10% growth a year, you're going to retire a millionaire.
Absolutely.
A lot of money.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, get so caught up thinking that it has to be a certain dollar amount you make, that they have to make six figures, that they have to. No, what you need is a plan. So with your income, you making sure you've attacked it and gotten it free of debt, and you're investing it the right way, you can experience real growth.
Yeah, and it's an inspiring message, quite frankly, because you could follow your dreams. You could have somebody who's not thinking about necessarily, do I need to go to the highest paying job?
Right.
You could go into a service job.
You sure can.
And you could still end up doing incredibly well.
Absolutely. But having a plan.
But you have to have a
plan. And
so
regardless of where you are out there, I would tell people, sit down with an investment professional. Have them take a look at what you have so you can get a feel for, hey, what are some small tweaks that could lead to some big gains?
Yeah. Want to switch courses? We talked about athletes, and they run into a very different income trajectory. It's not a slow growth; it's massive amounts and then significant drops, and they have to plan differently. And naturally, saving a lot and planning for that's big. Another instance of individuals who come into a lot of money at once that I'd love to kind of pick your brain about. What does somebody do? Is lottery winners. So. Somebody wins the lottery. Let's say somebody wins has a $5 million lottery ticket, and they happen to talk to you right away. You find out about it. What should that person be thinking about?
Well, it's crazy. I want to first celebrate their win.
It's a big deal, right?
It's a big deal.
Yep.
The first thing I want to do is to begin to identify what are the top 3 things that they want to do now. Okay, so I'm trying to set up priorities. The top 3 things. Next, and I've worked with several lottery winners, and so helping them identify their priorities, and then the people they want to take care of, what does that look like? So I'm beginning to give them a structure, but I'm also helping them to understand we can celebrate this, but we also want to utilize this for what it is, and it's a tool. It's a tool to absolutely be able to put you on a different financial playing field if you'll listen. And I'll tell them, most people end up losing it all within 3 to 5 years. I was like, so I know, and it blows my mind. But so I help them establish those priorities, help them establish a game, but I also incorporate fun. I want them to take that trip. I want them to do something that they can really enjoy.
Yeah, if you win the lottery and you can't do anything fun,
that's not good. Well, this is why diets fail, Matt.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you remember the Atkins diet? Okay, you can have a side of beef, but you can't have one potato chip, right? People lose their minds for that one potato chip.
You got to have that chip.
That's right. So being able to balance in and have some fun, but at the same time understanding that we're working towards something.
Yeah.
If I can help people see that light bulb, they can begin to go, okay, I can follow this plan.
So most lottery winners, as you said, the money's gone in a few years.
Right.
But most of the people weren't earning enough. You know, in theory, if you're earning $50,000 a year and you win $5 million, right. Well, that should last you, what is that, 100 years? I mean, that should literally last 100 years, and that's if there's no interest.
But you know how we are as a society,
yeah.
Right? And so we end up spending more than we earn, right? Yeah. And then we have this want mindset. Like, want never wants you to be happy. Wants you to strive. It wants you to beg, borrow, and steal. It wants you. And so if we can get in control of that little 10-year-old, 12-year-old self, because we all have them. Yeah. We all have that thing. But getting in control of it and going, hey, what are the big things I'm striving for?
Yeah.
Whether that's about providing for your kids or providing for yourself later in life, we got to have awareness.
Yeah. I joked with you off air that I thought about writing an article that was titled... what's the first thing you should do if you win the lottery? It's rip up the ticket because of how much your life would just completely change.
Yeah.
Totally change. It would change a lot of relationships. Are there ways you can go about it with people where they remain anonymous if they win the lottery?
There are, actually. You know, what I've guided some people to do is to be able to set up a trust and allow that trust to be the recipient of the winnings. So therefore it can kind of shield you from all the public stuff going on. And then, you know, being able to have that trust set up where you can now begin to claim it and begin to have a game plan, but it gives you more time. And what I tell typical winners of that is, hey, you need to go away and spend a couple of weeks planning. And that way you can have the structure in place before you start to invite this chaos into your world if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even fathom the chaos, although I do suppose it's similar to a professional athlete who is drafted high. And...
You know what? It's actually not.
Really?
It's similar that the money is coming in quick.
Okay.
But the difference is with the athlete, that person has a skill or trade that's allowed them to earn to get to that.
Yeah.
This is, with the lottery, it's just regular every day.
Yep.
Right? And so even with the athletes in season, their free time is minimal.
That's a good point.
Okay? The off season is what you have to be careful for. So if it's someone that's not an athlete or an entertainer or musician, their free time now is all the time. And so you've got to be careful.
You've got to control that.
Yes.
The one area I think it might be similar is when an athlete's, say, first drafted.
Yes.
Their time is busy. They may not be able to spend it because they've got to go to the, you know, if I'm
all
thinking NFL,
meetings.
The combines, the meetings, the regular
That's right.
season. But if your name is publicized, either way, you may have a number of people thinking, oh, this person makes a lot of money.
Absolutely. And so they get hit by family. They get hit by all kinds of charities. And so one of the things, and giving is one of the best things you could ever do with money.
Absolutely.
But you got to do it within a plan. And so whether it's their local church, their university, whatever it is. And so beginning to help them have a game plan for it so they can feel like they're in control.
Yeah, because the money will be gone quick if you give everybody everything they ask for.
You have to have a plan.
And
that's normal, right? We all need a plan.
Yeah. No, it's a fascinating different world. And I know a lot of, you buy a ticket, you dream about what you might do, but the consequences of how that could change relationships is pretty crazy.
And you have to be aware of that. And, with the people, I've worked with a few people that had great relationships, and they really utilized it to really enhance their relationship, but to do a lot of good. They started a couple of scholarship funds in the name of their grandparents at their university. Cool. And they go out and do some things anonymously. And so it can be a big thing. But here's the thing. You don't have to hit the lottery to give. You have an opportunity to be able to be in control of this stuff and really think about what are the causes you really believe in.
Sure.
Your alma mater or a school in your area. We got ways we can help people.
No, that's fantastic. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but you're on campus today. We've got you busy. We have you meeting with
a lot of students,
class,
which I'm
a
excited
lot of
for.
students.
Yes.
On that note, so we'll have a student graduate, and I know one of your talks later today that the individuals watching here probably most of them won't see, but
right.
But it's on
giving some tips after college.
Tips for after college.
Yeah,
so what are let's give a short preview. Like what are one or two of the biggest things for a student graduating for them to be successful after college?
Well, I'd say first and foremost is don't be so rigid. Like give yourself an opportunity to be able to breathe. Acknowledge you have achieved higher education. And just breathe now. The other thing is take the time to gain some experience. Your parents have spent 20, 30, 40 years to build their career. Sure. Don't expect you to get yours overnight. And so it's going to take some time. So network intentionally, build relationships, and enjoy the process.
Yeah, we see it's kind of fascinating working with the students, and I love our students here. I know you've met a few of them. Yeah. I think they're great students and hardworking and in many ways humble. The different experiences. We'll have some students who, based on what they've heard, they think they're going to graduate and instantly somebody's going to give them $100,000 a year.
Right.
And then others who are shocked about that any salary. Like we run the full gamut. So that's a really good tip about giving advice. And I would think a couple other tips. I think that we've talked about together. I mean, to be happy, as soon as you start making money, flex the muscles of learning how to invest some, and flex the muscle of how to figure out what's a meaningful thing to give a little bit of money away to.
Absolutely. If you can give and invest, now what you've done is put yourself on a whole different playing field. Yeah. And now as your lifestyle grows, your income grows, now what you have is the ability to be able to invest more, give more, and invest more. Yeah, but absolutely. You can still live. So don't let stuff define you. No.
I agree.
Stuff is perishable. So you want to take care of it.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're here and excited to see the rest of today. And thank you for everybody tuning in. Once again, my name is Matt Rosu. I am Dean of the Sigmund Weiss School of Business at Susquehanna University. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel, so that will help us out. And it will help other people see the great tips that Chris provided today. And we'll see you in the next video.
Take care, everybody.